From the Vegas Golden Knights, this is SLGND. I'm Justin Russo. 'Tis the season of giving, and this week the Golden Knights look to give their fans the gift of 3 more victories as they embark on a 3-game road trip through Winnipeg, Edmonton, and Minnesota. With Vegas already riding a 3-game win streak, the vibes are good in the locker room, and after 5 days of rest and good hard practice, the Knights are ready to get back onto the ice and face some tough competition. Ahead of the first leg of the trip in Winnipeg, the guys catch up with one of the proud Manitobans on the VGK. Brett Howden joins the show to talk about his growing family, his contract extension with the Knights, and more. Without further ado, here's Dave, Dan, and Gary with Brett Howden.
And Brett Howden joins us. Brett, we're closing in here. What do we got? 15 days till Christmas. Are you all set? Is your shopping finished?
Not quite yet. No. My wife actually just went back home with our son to visit family while we're on the road this week. So this is a good time for me to try to dial it in and get it done.
Does she give you a list, or do you just hope you just roam the aisles in downtown Summerlin?
No, if I roam the aisles, it wouldn't turn out good. I have a good idea of the areas that she wants things, so I'll stick with that. And then got all of our son's gifts done, so we're good with that.
Will your wife and your son be in Winnipeg when you play the Jets on Thursday?
Yeah, they'll be there.
Will they come to the game?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is this Charlie's first road game?
Yeah, I guess technically it is. Yeah, his first time going to a game that's not at T-Mobile. He's pretty spoiled here at T-Mobile, so he'll get the real treat of watching it from the stands and not having any access to anything like that. So, but it'll be great. It'll be fun to see him after too.
So, just for our listeners that don't really understand, there's a family lounge at T-Mobile, and the kids might go and. Well, you tell us, what's he do at a game?
Yeah, well, he loves coming for warm-ups. Always a lot of noise and a lot of lights and stuff like that, and he likes being close to the ice. He's liked it a lot more now that he's gone a few times. And then I usually come over and say hi to him quickly, and then, usually he's pretty good. I mean, I think around after the first or second period, depending on how he's doing, that's usually when they take off and go back home. But the earlier games, like the 5 o'clock games, he's able to last the whole game, so that's the best, is quickly getting, changed and coming out and seeing him right after the game and then going home with him. So that's for sure the best, but it's always fun seeing him at the glass.
Does he get into the free booze in the family lounge?
He's always in the family lounge. They're playing hockey and stuff in there, but he's staying away from that.
He's a little young. Okay.
How many
apple juice, maybe?
How many kids are in there?
Well, yeah, there's a lot. It depends on the night. I mean,
Yeah.
some nights there's not many kids at all, and then some nights there's a whole bunch of them in there. So
Like a daycare.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm trying to ask is how many babies or young kids are, Petrangelo's got 4.
Yeah, exactly. He's got 4, and then obviously Stoney's got 2 now, and then Carly, Theo's got 1. Naber. I mean, there's just so many of them that it's hard to keep track now.
Name tags.
Yeah,
here.
yeah, exactly. But it's pretty cool to see them all around the same age running and playing together.
Yeah, and Charlie's a year and a half.
Yeah, year and a half.
Yeah, and so Santa Claus is coming, as Dave mentioned. Like, do you I don't know if he knew what was going on last year. Will he know what's going on this year?
Last year he sure didn't know what was going on. But this year he still doesn't know what's going on, but he's starting to learn. He's starting to say Santa. And starting to learn what presents are, and he sees the presents under the tree, and he's kind of looking at those. So
what's in there, Dad?
Yeah, exactly. So Christmas morning will be definitely a lot more fun this year. He'll be excited to rip open some presents.
Has he met Santa? Did he go and tell Santa what he'd like?
Yeah, we went. He didn't say anything. He got a little scared of Santa, but we went and got a picture with Santa, and he was so excited to see him from afar. And then as we got close, that's when things kind of turned.
So what did he do? Just started crying?
Yeah,
I'm out of here.
Yeah, I tried putting him on him, and he just had a death grip on me. He wasn't letting go.
What is this? This guy, this bearded man in a red suit.
Yeah,
Give me away to a stranger here.
Yeah.
So has he started to show an interest in hockey?
Yeah, he has lately, actually, a lot. I think the more that he's starting to come to games now, he's starting to learn. He loves looking at the goalies. He's always saying goalie.
Oh no!
But yeah, he's at home. He's starting to play with his mini stick a lot. every time he hits the ball, it doesn't even go in the net. He just yells, "Goal!"
Maybe an announcer in the making.
There you go. Poor guy.
So, so yeah, it's been a lot of fun to see him, start to learn a little bit more about it and start to get the hang of it.
And so, how about skates? Like on the ice yet?
Yeah, well, he can't skate or anything like that, but I got him a little pair of skates, and I'll bring him out here. I brought him out a handful of times, and I'll just go cruise around with him out there, and he can walk off the ice with them, but as soon as we get on the ice, his legs go a little bit noodleish. But it's just a lot of fun to see how happy he is and excited he is when we take him out there.
How old were you when you first got on the ice?
Well, I don't know. I was talking about this with my dad actually on the dad's trip, but he said everything I did was at a really young age just because I wanted to be like my brother. And he was always playing hockey, so I had to try to keep up. He was 6 years older than me. So I was always trying to keep up to him what he was doing. So my dad said I started from a young age. Yeah.
For folks that don't know, your older brother Quentin, really good hockey player in his own right. Just tell us a little bit about him, his career, and what he's up to now.
Yeah, so he had a great career. Always looked up to him. He was the first overall pick in the WHL, and then he was a first-round pick to Florida. I think he played around 100 games in the NHL, and then he took his career overseas, played in the KHL for a bit, played in Germany and France, spent a little time in Sweden. So he kind of did a few areas over there, and him and his wife, they really enjoyed their time over there. They got to travel quite a bit. And now he's actually he's retired now. He's back home. He's working at home, and he actually just started up a senior league in our town. So the whole town is pretty excited about that. A lot of the players too. A lot of guys had to go find elsewhere to play, but he managed to bring a team back to our town. So pretty special for our town, and get them watching hockey again. And there's a big buzz going around our town.
So we always say you're from Winnipeg, but you're born in Calgary, but raised in Oakbank, which is sort of 10 miles outside of town, and two really nice golf courses there, and but also the arena that you played at. So they're playing a senior league. Where are is it all in Manitoba, or is it cross into Saskatchewan a little bit?
I think as it gets down to it, whoever wins the Manitoba League, I think they play against whoever wins the Saskatchewan League, but for their regular season, they just stay in Manitoba. So this is his first year doing that, and I've been talking to him a lot. He's having a lot of fun. He took a year off of hockey actually when he retired, and it's cool to see how excited he is playing again, and just playing for the love of it, really. So
yeah.
How much Golden Knights hockey does he watch?
Quite a bit, yeah.
And what does he have to say about Golden Knights?
Yeah, he enjoys watching.
The
it.
announcers are terrible.
Yeah, right.
And that guy
Let's start there.
Yeah, number 21 on the ice. You know, he looks familiar.
Yeah, no, it's hard sometimes with the time change. 2 hours back home, so when the puck's dropping, it's usually 9:30, 10 p.m. there. So I get it. Some weeknights it's probably not the easiest to watch, but I know that whenever he can, he's always watching. And he always we talk quite a bit, so we'll talk about the games and things like that. And then whenever we go play on the East, my family loves that because it's earlier. So, I'm excited to see them. It'll be fun. We're gonna grab dinner when we get to Winnipeg, and then it'll be fun to see them all at the game too.
Maybe they get a period on TV when it's they dozed off by the end of the first, like most people.
Yeah.
Brett's dad actually listens on the radio quite a bit.
Does he?
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later.
Smart guy.
What he's thinking about, to be honest.
Well, the reason he listens to the radio is I think the first time he tuned in, Dan and I declared Brett to be Misfit 2.0, and
so that's why.
It's no secret. There's a bit of a man crush going on here. Okay, we love Brett.
Somebody in the building called Brett's first professional goal.
Right.
And it's not Dave Goshen.
Yeah,
No, God, I was sure I was busy doing something else.
No. The old War Memorial in Syracuse.
So if they told Brett Howden all those years ago in Manitoba he'd be playing on a hockey team in Vegas and that he was going to sign a contract to stay here for a lot more years, would you tell that person they needed to get their head checked out?
Yeah. It's crazy to think about. I couldn't even picture that years ago, let alone last year. It's hard to think that far ahead and kind of put yourself in that place. But I'm just very thankful and grateful that we get to stay here for another 5 years, and it's just it's pretty hard to comprehend everything that's kind of gone on. So I'm excited.
You said at one point it was the best thing that ever happened to you. Could you kind of expand on that? How much it's meant to be part of this here?
Yeah, I mean, my last year in New York, it didn't go great for me. I had a tough year, and that was the COVID season, and so I didn't really know what was going to happen that summer. And then I ended up getting a call that I was traded, and then Kelly called me right away, and it was a lot to kind of take in, because New York was all I ever really knew. Even though I got traded from Tampa Bay before that, I'd never spent much time there, so it was a little hard at first, but looking back now, I've said it multiple times, that's the best thing that could have ever happened to me. Just getting a fresh start here and being part of a winning culture here, I think that really helped too. So, I just feel very grateful to be here.
Brett, you told us the other day on the radio, after you got that call from Kelly McCrimmon, the next call that came in was from Mark Stone, who comes from the same place as you. Can you bring us back to that moment, that phone call from Mark?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was that same day. It was I was still just I was trying to wrap my head around everything going on, and had a random number calling me, and it was Stoney, and we talked for about 5 to 10 minutes, and he was just welcoming me, and I remember him telling me that they were in a position where they wanted to win now, and Bill Foley was going to do whatever he could, and same with Kelly and George. And I remember just thinking, coming from a team that was rebuilding to this, it was kind of hard to believe that I was kind of put in that situation now with a winning team. And that first year really didn't go our way. A lot of injuries, and I mean, that kind of gave me a little bit more opportunity for a personal level, but it was a shame that we didn't end up making playoffs that year. And then I think it kind of fueled everybody. Everybody came back ready to go at the start of the season, and we really took off from there. And the rest is history after that. But pretty lucky.
You're having a career year. You told me it took you 2 weeks to come to terms on this contract. Did you think about playing out the string and going to July 1 and seeing what was out there for you?
Not once.
How come?
Not once, because this is home to us. There's obviously a lot of it is to do with, hockey and the team and everything like that, which we absolutely love here, but it's also my family too. Plays a big part in it. And my wife is super comfortable here. She loves the wives and everyone else here, and everyone that works here. Everybody is just incredible. And then you throw that into how I feel about the team here and where we're at, and how much I enjoy playing here, and living here as well. It was a no-brainer that we wanted to get it done and stay here, just to have that opportunity of being told that they wanted to extend me. I'll never forget that. Never forget telling my wife, because that was a special moment for us. We had never been in that position before. So, I honestly, to answer your question, not once did we think about waiting.
5 years is a big number in the National Hockey League. Like, when that first, how did that, forget about the money, when that term was, like, was that the first, did that come early, or like when you first heard that, what was your kind of reaction to that?
Yeah, I was a little blown away. I mean, like I said, I've only ever signed my last deal was 2 years, but even signing the 2 years, that felt nice, better than signing 1 year. So just to be in this spot where it's, we can settle in and feel comfortable with where we're at and know where we're going to be for the next however many years. And now we know it's 5. It's just, it's a really good feeling for our family and just to know that we're going to be a part of the Knights organization.
That's the old call them back before they change their minds. 5 years.
Yeah.
5 years.
Yeah,
What was your wife's reaction? You said you never forget when you told her.
Yeah.
What did she say?
Yeah, well, I got home after a game, and she obviously had a long night with Charlie, put him to bed and stuff, and she usually wakes up when I get home, and I told her there, and we were able to stay up and talk for a little while because we were a little too revved up after hearing that. So, it was just very exciting. And then the next day, I think we actually flew out the next day to go on a road trip, and it was just hard to believe. We kept talking about it, and tried to let it not interfere with everything going on with the games and the season and things like that. But obviously it was pretty enjoyable to be able to talk about it with her and just enjoy the process.
So how would you describe your season so far?
I think it's been a good start. Obviously getting more opportunity, just with some of the pieces that move with Stevie and Marchie. So I'm just not trying to change my game at all. I'm trying to be better at my game, and take on more responsibility and take advantage of that. But it's been a good start, especially for our team too. And we want to continue that, especially right up to the Christmas break, and then kind of have a little reset and then carry on.
You mentioned, Brett, and we don't ask too much on-ice questions here, but since you're sitting here, you'd be a good source. You did lose a lot of free agents, made a couple of trades. You've had some injuries. You mentioned Mark Stone. He just came back after missing a month. How would you describe how your team's been able to do what they've done through the first not quite 30 games of the season?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when you lose anybody, I mean, obviously things shift around, but when you lose Mark Stone, that's a big piece to lose. So I thought we did a pretty good job of being able to carry on and not kind of use that as an excuse in any of the games. So obviously we knew we were missing a big piece, but we had to push through, and I thought we did a good job while he was out. There were some close games, even on that long road trip. Didn't start the way we wanted it to, but we finished well. And then when he comes back in the lineup, that's just an extra huge boost. So. It's pretty awesome to see that we can pick each other up in those situations, but nice to have more bodies back in the lineup.
Well, Brett, thanks for this very much. This has been great. So look, December 10th, as we started here, you got 14 days to roam through downtown Summerlin with your list, and we should mention that Charlie will have next Christmas a sibling. Right?
Yes,
wow.
Yeah.
Which is when's this going to happen now? Then?
That's mid-March.
And you don't know.
We don't know. We're going to wait. We did the same with Charlie, so it's a little difficult to wait, but my wife loves that. I love the surprise too, but if she says we're waiting, we're waiting.
Do you have names in mind for boy and girl?
Yeah, we have both. I think the boy names are a little bit harder for some reason. We're pretty set on a girl name, but
Charlie's a great name.
Yeah. So
Dave's always a good name.
Yeah. Keep that in consideration.
Okay. Thank you, Brett, very much.
I have a girl. Having a girl is a fantastic experience too. I know obviously Charlie is exceptional, but you'd be a good girl, Dad.
Yeah, I would love to be. I have two sisters, older sisters, so I mean, it would be incredible. Either way, we'll be super happy as long as the baby's healthy, and that's all that matters.
You bet.
Well, Santa's going to be a little busier next year at the house. So that's great. Brett, thanks again for this.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
That was Brett Howden with the guys on Tuesday at City National Arena. Always great to hear from Brett, and glad that he has found himself a new home here in Vegas. Hopefully now he can go back to his home province on Thursday in Winnipeg and help lead the VGK to victory. Let's now throw it back to the guys to recap their conversation with Brett and offer their thoughts on some league-wide news.
Great to have Brett Howden join us here, guys, and we've gotten to know him a bit here over the last several years, and just such a God, is he a nice guy?
What else could you say?
I don't know how else to say it. Like,
nobody smiles more than he does.
I don't know. Like, I'm sure he has his moments, as we all do, but I haven't seen any with him.
Yeah.
He's good on the Golden Knights, and his reaction when 5 years to stay is great stuff.
It always goes back to me exactly what Kelly McCrimmon said when he traded for him, because like Brett just said to us, my last year didn't go very well. They ran him out of there. Because he was part of that trade that saw McDonough and JT Miller go to Tampa, and him and Nemestikov came back, and Nemestikov didn't stay that long, and Brett never really flourished there.
Yeah, I mean, Brett was, he was still in junior hockey.
Yeah.
He was a prospect at the time. He was an unknown. He'd been a first-round pick.
But the Ranger fans look at these guys are off winning Stanley Cups and being fantastic, and our guys got 9 goals or whatever. He became a target there. I said to Kelly McCrimmon, why him? And he said, I'm betting on the person. And it's you'd bet on that guy time and time again, wouldn't you?
Slam dunk.
Not a very forgiving market at times, to say the least, in New York.
It's hot there now.
Yeah. Oh, my heavens. Shane, how have we asked Brett this question. So here we are, not quite 30 games in. We got by the end of this road trip, we'll be pretty close to 30 games. I guess we will be at 30. How have they been able to do it? They've had injuries. Yeah. They've had they changed a fair amount of their lineup. How would you analyze it?
It's interesting because I was thinking about this the other day. It's kind of the evolution of, let's say, these just about 30 games, right? They came in, great start again, carried by goal scoring, right? Early in the year, and for whatever reason, Bruce Cassidy always gives us great tidbits. He's such a smart hockey guy. He talked about the shooters ahead of the goalies and ahead of defense. And really the theory of training camp, you're hammering home defensive details, but everybody's coming off summer skates where it's all about offense. Everybody's working on their skill. And they have enough of that to get through, right? They're dynamite. They can score goals. Everybody has a lull. They have a lull. And then all of a sudden they lock in their defensive game, and Hill finds his game. Samsonov's been good. They take the Utah one out. I think that was a great wake-up call. You always need a reset game, let's call it. Yeah. And that, to me, was the reset game, the lack of no practices. So they've done it different ways. We always say we got to learn to win different ways. I think this team has done that early on, and I think that benefits you throughout a year. Injuries, different guys stepping up. I would say, how do they do it? Well, they do it every year.
Right. Yeah.
It's not new to this team, to this group. They understand that it's kind of, unfortunately, part of their DNA is the ability to find different players to step up and find roles. The Cole Schwintz of the world that we've seen them do year after year. Brett Howden, who's been versatile. You think of how he started. He kind of started as a Cole Schwintz type player, and then developed his game. Penalty killed and moved up and down the lineup, wing, center. And then now I just, the opportunity for them to practice, again, Bruce Cassidy really talking about stick details, something you don't hear, saying that they haven't been as sharp, them allowing the middle of the ice and all that, playing through hands, which is a play with your stick to get to guys quicker, to cut plays off. So if they can now combine all that, right, the scoring from early on and the defensive right now, special teams, power play's been good, penalty kill has been better. Their whole game at this point, and it's early, and there's still going to be other obstacles, but to me, it's kind of evolved now to, all right, they're locked into how they want to play. We'll hopefully see how this practice benefits them, because they're going to have a real tough test on this road trip.
There's an answer within the answer there, and it's Bruce Cassidy. How many times in your answer about all these good things did you say Bruce Cassidy? And he's like John Cooper. They're victims of their own success, right? Neither of them ever won the Jack Adams, correct?
I believe that's true. Well, Cooper certainly hasn't. Yeah.
It's because everyone just looks, he's just coaching Vegas. He's just doing what he always does there. That award goes to some guy who's coaching a team that was awful last year.
For the record, I voted for John Cooper a lot.
I do too. So and it doesn't matter.
I have as well, but you know what I mean? I voted for Bruce a couple of times as well, because excellence should be rewarded. And the fact that you're excellent every year shouldn't be a negative, and yet it is, because it's like, nothing new there. Vegas is good.
Nothing just happens. Like, they're good for a reason.
Yeah.
They're very well coached. They've got a good leadership group, right? And Howden just was telling us about they were able to withstand losing their captain for a month. I looked at it the other day just out of curiosity, because as we approach 30 games, they were 25-5 through 30 games last year. They were great the first third of the season last year. Then things kind of came a little bit unraveled, and injuries. You hope they got through this, and who knows? Knock on any wood you can find. The injury stuff early on this year, who knows? We'll see what transpires down the road. But you mentioned it, Shane. You've got, as we sit here now at this taping, coming up a 3-game road trip, Dan. Which, if you look at the top 3 teams in the West, Minnesota, Winnipeg, and Vegas. 2 of the 3 teams on that trip the Golden Knights are going to meet, and Edmonton between the 2. So this will be a good test for a team that seemed to get their road game sorted out over the last few weeks.
And for the people who are screaming at their iPhones right now, Bruce Cassidy won the Jack Adams with the Bruins in the 1920 season, just for the people who
COVID.
Thinking
Lost that in COVID. Hold
right,
on. Jack Adams.
There you go.
20.
That was the season that stopped and resumed.
Surprised Gary didn't know that.
But, well, yeah, no, but they
I'm surprised you didn't.
I know.
I knew I wouldn't know.
My OCD. I know.
I asked the question of you two. He's never won the Jack.
Shane.
No, this is a Dan and Dave question.
Yes, exactly.
Just wanted to verify.
No, thank you.
Good job, Dan.
Yes.
Noah Hanifin said to us on Nighttime at noon, Monday of this week, that the 5-day break normally you would not like. But in this particular case, given that they've played so many games and that they've got guys coming back from injury like Olofsson, Stone, that actually this 5-day break comes at a good time where they had 2 days of rest to sort of catch up and then 2 practice days in a row and then a travel day. I mean, it's just bizarre to have 5 days in the middle of a season that's not the All-Star break. It's weird. And that it would come after the Knights had played so many games. We talked about they hadn't played consecutive home games for a month with all the road games and pit stops at home. And, of course, they came home and they elevated their game to play the Winnipeg Jets, and that was one of the more impressive performances at the time. And of course, had beaten the Oilers. And I'm interested in Minnesota. Gary and I talked about this the other day, guys. You know, Minnesota has had a terrific start of the season. To me, it was a little bit of a surprise, given some of the personnel changes. But now they're getting bit by the injury bug. So is the Minnesota team that the Knights see on Sunday going to be the same version of Minnesota that's put up this great record so far? Both teams are playing back-to-back Saturday and Sunday, and you got day games in there, and the Knights traveling across the border and everything. So it gets a little wonky when you've got a 3-game trip like this. But, yeah, I mean, the Knights have done very well against the Central Division this year, most recently defeating a playoff nemesis in the Dallas Stars.
Right now for Minnesota, Eriksson out, Zuccarello out, Brodin out, right? So 3 pretty significant pieces of the puzzle for them. In terms of, you mentioned it, Dan, maybe we can kind of go around the horn here. In terms of a surprise team this year, for me, Minnesota's at the top of the list just because they missed the playoffs last year. They weren't close. They missed by 11 points.
Yeah.
It's not, if you look at their main guys, it's the same team. I know the guys are injured, but I'm just saying, put them back in the lineup. It's basically the same team. Kaprizov's been great. Boldy's had a good start. Rossi's been really good.
Gustafson's been huge.
Gustafson has been goaltending and team defense. Yep. As of this taping, they're the number 1 goals against team in the league, and Gustafson's been great. So they've been able to do it a lot of different ways. But who for you, Shane, you say, geez, they're better than I thought they were going to be?
I think Washington, right off the top of my head. Yeah. Capitals did not see that coming, and they're doing it now without Ovi, but you look before it. He surprised me, too, how well he came out of the gates. Obviously, we saw that firsthand here at T-Mobile that, he can still score. But, the Washington Capitals, I think Spencer Carberry's done a terrific job there for a young coach that's really got a group to buy in, and they made some good changes. They needed to. Certainly, I think defensively, a team last year that got in with a goal differential. There's no way they should have made playoffs, but they did. I think Chikrin's been good. Roy's been good. So and Carlson's healthy. He looks like the John Carlson that's been so good for so long there. And then up front, the Wilson's played well. That McMichael did not see that coming. So that's what happens when teams get good. You have to have a bit of your top guys step up. Some of the moves you made pay off, and then some guys evolving. Coming out of nowhere, and I think they've had a real combination of that.
Derek, surprise.
Columbus. We're doing good surprises right now,
yes.
Right? Yeah. Columbus. I think that they had every reason to kind of pack it in. Losing the death of Johnny Gaudreau, obviously, take away the hockey part of it. He was their best player. Take that out of the equation. Those guys are heartbroken. They're walking around feeling. I don't know how long it takes to kind of come out of a funk like that, and maybe they've sort of said, "Hey, we owe it to him to play hard." And I'm not really sure. There'll be a book there. Aaron Portzline will write a book about this season someday, and you'll hear players Boone Jenner hasn't played this year.
No.
And I watched them play against Winnipeg on Sunday night, and they just outworked them.
Dean Evison.
Yeah. Dean has he's got them playing the way he played.
Yeah.
Redlining all the time.
Yeah. I'll throw in the Los Angeles Kings.
Yeah.
The LA Kings have played the Knights twice. Each team won one game, and the winning team scored 6 goals. They've won 5 in a row. And the Knights, have had this great run here. But the Kings are only 4 points back of the Golden Knights. And, when Drew Doughty went down in the preseason playing against Vegas, I'm not sure that I expected that team at this stage of their player acquisitions, if they would be where they are right now. And I know it's only a third of the way into the season, but, it hasn't been a Knights-Kings playoff series since the very first one in 2018. So who knows? Plenty of time to go, but that is intriguing to me that the Knights and the Kings right now are the number 1 and 2 in the Pacific Division.
You both mentioned, like Shane talks about Washington and Spencer Carberry. You talk about L.A. and Jim Hiller. And I want to hear what you have to say, obviously, Dave. But charisma from a coach, how important is that?
Well, it's huge. And it's, and that's can kind of go back to what we talked about with Cooper and Cassidy, being able to motivate year after year after year. I think it's harder in today's game. So now we're talking about coaches. There's always that instant influx, right? That injects the boost, and which you get a lot from a year 1, 2 coach coming in and okay, the rah. Then how do you build it? I think it's easier to build it sometimes than it is to sustain it.
Yeah.
And
that's why Bruce Cassidy won the Jack Adams
in 1920 that we all forgot about.
Well, I just
did you say 1920?
2019.
Yeah, not in 1920.
He's not Jack Adams. He's not Jack Adams.
No, in 1920.
He won the Jack Adams.
Oh my!
But you look at recent Jack Adams winners. It's guys who are like their first year early in their like.
But
Rick
all
Tocchet,
those coaches have done great.
Jim Montgomery, obviously Gerard Gallant, Barry Trotz. You go down the list. Daryl Sutter was in Calgary for a little bit, but you get the idea. It's guys like you said they make a splash.
Yeah, and Hiller's done a good job with LA. They got rid of that their 113 or 131.
The 05.
Right.
There was relief in the players'
Relief in the
voices.
players now. Like
heavens.
they've got their transition game so much better, and they're a good team. I want to throw to you guys. Okay, biggest disappointments or surprises for disappointment. Obviously, I think in the East and the West, I'd say the National. Everybody thought they were going to be great. I don't think they come back. There's no way Colorado's get. You look at that Central, they don't have a chance to come back this year.
No.
Who's your good surprise?
Oh yeah,
my good surprise was Minnesota.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, my bad surprise is Detroit. They missed the playoffs on the tiebreaker last year.
Yes.
I know they made a push late, but they haven't done much of anything this year. I just figured they were due to be better. There's a lot of isn't Buffalo due to be better?
I've just kind of settled to the fact all those teams.
But there's no palm trees in Buffalo.
No, but Detroit, it's easy. Remember they had those big wins late and overtime wins, and right now, I mean, they're not. They're top heavy in their scoring, right? Larkin and Raymond and DeBrincat, and past that, nobody seems to be able to score on a regular basis for them. But Detroit, to me, I figured they'll take a step forward and be in. I don't know. There's a lot of long ways to go.
Well, the Yzer plan for Steve Yzerman, he takes over with the Tampa Bay Lightning, and is that 08-ish, and then they're in the Stanley Cup final within 6-7 years, and now here it's been 6-7 years. Is it going to be a little bit longer? I mean, it's not like they're close to contending for a cup. We're just talking about making the playoffs for a team that had made the playoffs for 25 years in a row,
and now they've missed it for a lot of years in a row.
It just goes to show, like, you're going to rebuild. I don't know whose idea the great rebuild, tear it down was. It works like 1 out of 10 times. Like, who's, like, Chicago, okay? Chicago gutted it. They got Taves and Kane. All right, they won. Their current rebuild isn't going very well. Detroit's rebuild has been awful. Buffalo's rebuild has been awful.
Ottawa.
San Jose is.
Keep hitting the reset button. It's like a video game.
Anaheim.
Lost, hit the reset
Did
button.
we mention Anaheim?
No, Anaheim.
Yeah.
San Jose's showing signs of life.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who's your surprise?
Bad surprise.
Bad surprise. I mean, it's hard to go beyond Nashville. Gee whiz.
I thought your Rangers out in the East.
Yeah,
They're in a free fall.
See, that's and, but the thing is, like, they're still in a playoff spot.
Yeah,
like
that's
they,
true.
and they signed their goalie. Like is there time enough for them to, level things out? What's that division going to be like? It's not as crazy good. Obviously, Washington has been a surprise. The Devils had a great start. They started before everybody because they'd gone overseas. Like, do they come back to earth a little bit? I think that there's still some runway there in the Metropolitan Division. Washington was such a surprise. Devils have, gone from, a playoff team to a not playoff team to now, like, they're blowing everybody's doors off. Like, some of it's like regress to the mean a little bit there. And the Rangers, who won the President's Trophy last year, I wonder if they find their way kind of back up. And then there's Carolina, and just because they are so well coached, like we were just talking about, they're going to find themselves. Even though I think people thought they were going to take a step back, they're kind of just, charting their course through the regular season.
I'm not sure what your answer was.
I think you said Nashville.
Surprise bad, hard to get past
Surprise
Nashville?
bad was Nashville.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Gary?
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me, it's the Montreal Canadiens, and I know they won last night, and Patrick Laine is back, but there's all this talk about. There is all this talk about, how great their prospects are, and this year
It's
they're
Montreal.
This year,
the talk's always going to be louder than most places.
Two languages. Everything's great.
Yeah, and this year they were going to make a step, and they haven't made a step for me.
Yeah.
They haven't learned how to play.
Yeah. Did we think that Pittsburgh would be under 500?
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. It's like they were really bad. They're not quite as bad, but they're not good.
No.
Like,
Giving
they're still
up
under 500.
Most goals against in the league.
Yeah.
And they've been on a good run lately.
Right, that's
Just
what
to
I
get to
mean.
that,
Like,
that's what I mean.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
Think they ever trade Crosby? You think he ever?
Well, everybody
It's not do they ever trade him. Do you think he ever goes to Mario Lemieux and says, "You need to tell whoever
So you would
it
know
is."
better than me.
John Henry.
I've heard the two. Obviously, everybody talks about Colorado and McKinnon and that. The other one I heard, and this is you're way more in this world, but I was in Toronto to do a game. Somebody said there's been a thought of Crosby would go to Toronto.
Yeah.
Well, everybody thinks
the
that they want to
minds
go
of
play
who?
for the Leafs,
You think
right?
Kyle Dubas
Everybody
is
in
going to
Toronto
send
thinks that.
Kyle Dubas is going to send Sidney Crosby to Toronto
Yeah, that
to finish
doesn't-
the job that he couldn't get done?
I forget
I
who
don't
told
know.
me that, but they were dead serious. I'm
Yeah,
like,
well,
"No."
yeah. Listen, Toronto, they constantly fantasize about having a parade. So yes,
Haven't had one since the summer of love.
Yeah, 67.
Before the summer of love.
Before
It
I
was
was
the
born.
spring of love.
That's how long it's been. I
Before
wasn't
Sergeant
alive.
Pepper was released. Shane.
Wow.
You know these
The
things.
New York
That-
Jets have won a Super Bowl more recently than the Leafs have won the Stanley
Yeah.
Cup.
So
The Leafs might be a little closer to winning than the Jets.
They're better.
That's true. That's true.
Leafs are good. Leafs are a good team.
Yeah.
someone
Yeah.
suggested the other day that the Rangers are going to fire Laviolette and they're going to hire Daryl Sutter.
He's busy going to Kings games. He was in the
Yeah,
crowd the
right.
other night at the
Right.
I wonder how it looks to me, and I'm not there. It's from a distance. Like they traded their captain, and it looks to me like they're not really playing for their coach and their GM right now. So the GM's not firing himself. Now Jim Dolan could fire him, right? Like, I mean, he's impetuous, but
That's a big word for today.
probably the
4 syllables.
probably the more
Okay,
likely
impetuous.
act would be for Laviolette to get clipped.
So we're 3 coaches fired?
Just won the President's Trophy.
Oh,
and
yeah.
We're a third of the way into the next
Yep.
season. Let's fire him.
Yeah.
Holy Toledo.
We've had 3 fired already?
Gary, let me ask you this, just since we're talking about the Rangers. The contract for Shesterkin, what does that tell you about the goalie market?
Well, Florida won they were paying Spencer Knight $3 million. He was in the minors, but they were paying him $3 million. They got Bobrovsky for $10 million, and DeStahl was on they were paying him not DeStahl,
Stolarz.
paying him around $1 million. So they had like $14 million in goalies when they won, and so now it's going to be 11.5. Is that what it is? And the cap is so the Board of Governors meetings is going on as we sit to record this, and there's a lot of talk that that the cap, the 5% limit on the cap is going to be removed temporarily, and so the cap is going to spike even more. So I think it's a ton of money to put into one.
I agree.
To put into a goalie, and will other GMs follow suit? Like I don't know. I wouldn't do it. To me, it's so unpredictable, and they don't play they don't play every night. They play, the good ones play 55, 58 games. A lot of money to have on the bench some nights.
It's worked both ways, though, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know what the Golden Knights had wrapped up with Hill and Thompson and Quick and Brossoit.
when you go down the list,
I don't
yeah.
know total, but it
Not
wasn't
very much.
not that much.
Right.
No.
I don't know what Kemper was making the year before in Colorado. They let him go as a free agent. Vasilevsky makes a lot of money. He's won a few cups.
Yeah.
So you see it work.
Yeah, it's worked both
both
ways.
Yeah.
But
But
how old's Shesterkin?
Good question. We
Like
can
he's
find
going
out
to be
quickly.
38 when
20s?
this. I think he's 30. He's
Yeah.
going to be 38 when this deal is up.
yeah.
Like,
He is currently he turns 29
Okay.
later this month.
all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, of course, the Golden Knights have
37.
the Golden Knights, both goaltenders have deals that expire this year. And what will the market be like? And you see what Colorado has done. They have traded away both of their goalies during the season, a third of the way through, and now they've reunited an old Devils pair of Wedgwood and Blackwood, and they are together. No longer in New Jersey, now together in Denver.
That'll be that'll be fun for the guys in Colorado. Miles Wood, Wedgwood,
Yeah.
and Blackwood.
Blackwood.
Gee whiz.
A lot of wood out there.
Yeah.
no.
Just need Fleetwood Mac to
There,
come
now
by
we're
and
talking.
Stevie Nicks to swing by and
There you go.
sing the anthem. All right. Well, that's about enough of this, don't you
Yeah.
think? I mean, we've covered more than enough here. And
Merry Christmas, fellas.
Merry Christmas to
Merry
everybody
Christmas.
out there, and happy 2025. We're going into. You all set down for the holidays? Have you already got the gifts for the
Not
group
even
here?
close.
Okay.
I did book a flight, though, so that's a good step.
Well,
in the
that's a
right
good first
direction.
step. I guess the gifts are secondary. That's fine. So, all right. Happy Christmas, everyone. We'll talk to you next year, literally, on SLGND.
Before we leave you today on SLGND, we listen in on a portion of Dan and Gary's chat with Noah Hanifin from Nighttime at Noon earlier this week. Noah delves into his inclusion on the Team USA roster for the Four Nations Face-Off, how he found out he made the team, and how things have been going lately for both him and the VGK overall on the ice.
Unbeknownst to you, I was doing a lot of back channeling. We knew Jack was on.
Yeah.
We knew Carly was going to make Sweden. Pretty sure the four guys that made Canada were going to make Canada: Stone, Pietrangelo, Hill, and Theodore. And you were the one guy that I thought should be on, but you were getting
sure.
a lot of buzz from other places. And we were in Seattle, and Chris Kelleher, who is
mascot.
same high school
Yeah,
as you. He told me.
yeah.
Yeah.
St.
Oh, wow.
Sebastian's.
Oh,
St.
no
Sebastian's,
kidding. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. He came. So Chris and I go way back, friends for a long time. He came to Seattle, and I'm like, "Who you watching here?" And he said, "Oh, I'm on Team USA business." I said, "Who you watching here?" And he said, "We're watching Noah Hanifin." And I said, "Well, where is he?" And he goes, "He's in the mix." And then we were in Toronto, and Bill Guerin was there.
All right, now we're talking.
No, Chris has a pretty big voice.
Well, no, I mean, when you have two sources,
Yeah,
so to speak,
yeah,
you've got really a sense of things.
Gosher and Nighty know Bill quite well, so I didn't get to talk to him live and in person there.
Yeah.
So I texted him the next day. I said, "Hey, I wanted to say hi, but Dave and Shane were monopolizing your time.
Right, yeah.
Where's Noah?" And he said, "He's a rising stock at that point in time." And I was pretty sure you were going to make it then.
Yeah, so how much of that did you know?
Not too much of it. I think for me, it's one of those things. You obviously want to be a part of it. It's a privilege. Anytime you get to represent your country, it's great. But for me, it's there's so many great players that are deserving to go, and somebody's going to be left off. Forwards, defensemen, goalies that could easily make the team. So for me, it was just about just trying to get my game going and play well. And if I got added to the team, that'd be great. And obviously super excited. Even with the team, there's so many guys that I've played with in the past and grew up with a lot of guys around my age. So it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, how do you find out?
I actually got a call from Bill Guerin. Yeah, he called me and gave me the news. And obviously really exciting. So.
Yeah, did you know him well?
I don't. I met him, I think, once maybe before. know a lot of the same people though, but
Right,
I know
yeah.
he's a mass guy as well. But
Exactly, yeah.
I don't really know him personally too well.
He's a great guy, great New Jersey Devil back in the day too, and of course responsible for putting all this together. You mentioned the Massachusetts roots, all the more special that part of this tournament coming up in February is going to be in Boston.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. I know a lot of my buddies and family are all real excited about it. It's been a long time since you've been able to see that much talent on an ice together and playing, and just to have it in the hometown will be a pretty cool experience. So I think everyone's pretty fired up.
And before we get back to Gary's line of questioning here, I have to ask you about this because Jack has talked about being named to the team, and he spoke vividly about putting on a sweater that says USA on it. I mean, we like this sort of okay, you're playing for Team USA. Obviously, at some point, you're going to have to put on the jersey that says USA on it. Like you go out, but like that's got to be. I mean, the history. Like, what do you think when you will put on that USA sweater for the first time?
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I think for me, I played when I was younger on the national program, and I think when you're that age, you almost take it for granted. You don't realize how big of a deal it is to be able to represent your country. And I think now, being at my age and just playing the league as long as I have, just to be able to come back and really represent your country on this big of a level is definitely something really special and means a lot.
Yeah. Bill Guerin calls you and tells you. You hang up from him. What's the next call?
Yeah.
I call my dad. Yeah, he's always the first guy when it comes to the hockey stuff. So gave him a buzz, and it was actually Thanksgiving Day. So he was already he had a pretty good buzz going with the family. So he was excited. Yeah.
Now, did you tell him he was allowed to tell the family that were there? Or did he have to keep it under wraps?
He told the family.
He did, eh?
Yeah, you weren't going to be able to keep that under wraps.
No, yeah, they got to know. They got to know everything. So
I think that's a great story and super well deserved. Your play from the moment you got to the Golden Knights, you've been excellent here. Where do you think the team is at right now, and where do you think you're at right now?
Well, I think the team's, in a really good spot right now. I think we're finally starting to play, full 60-minute games. We're timing it at the right, we're building our game at the right time, and even going through that hard stretch in November without Stoney for most of it, and to have the success we had was huge. And getting him back now, getting Petro back, getting everybody healthy. It's going to be an important month here for us just to keep building our game, and I think everybody feels good. Everybody's comfortable with their role, and we're happy about our game. Just got to keep building it, and for me, it's the same thing. I think it's been a little bit of a weird year for me. There's been some good games, some not so good games, and I think for me, it's just about coming back to the building my defensive game, being hard to play against defensively, getting that chemistry with Petro, which I think we're starting to get now, and I think it's good timing. Coming into December now, getting closer to Christmas. I want my game to be peaking. Come playoff time in March. So just got to keep building my game defensively, and the offensive stuff will come.
For more interviews and highlights, visit SoundCloud.com/Vegas Golden Knights and follow @VGK Radio Network on X, formerly known as Twitter, as well as @VGK Radio on Instagram. For more podcast content, be on the lookout for VGK Today, with new episodes each week throughout the regular season. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and a Happy New Year to all our listeners. We'll see you next time in 2025 on SLGND.